The third thing I want to talk about is the job performance of Derek Kennedy. And you've taken a lot of heat on that from Mr. Sposato and Mr. Armstrong in the paper and a lot of other people. But this, as I've said for 2 years, that Derek Kennedy is a snake oil salesman. I knew it the first time I met him. I'm a criminal defense guy. I know, I'm just going to leave it like that. I know a hustle when I hear it. However, in this case, you know that only 9 out of 20 people, 21 people responded to this survey. And I suppose those 9 were handpicked by Derek Kennedy. Everybody knows that he handpicked them. But why didn't 11 do it? And they didn't do it because they didn't trust the process. And nobody in this town, Mr. Sposato or anybody else, should have known which counselors didn't submit their performance reviews. That's confidential. They released that. Kennedy releases that to undercut you, to undermine you. Selico should not have gotten a copy of Mr. Aiello's performance review. He got it from Putman. And by just removing Putman out of the way does not solve your problem, because Putman doesn't do anything that Derek Kennedy doesn't tell him to do, and Derek Kennedy doesn't do anything that Mario Selico hasn't told him to do. And you need to get rid of him if he's going to continue to undercut you. That's what they're going to do. Mario Selico goes in the paper and calls Jack Carson a liar. And you don't think he's going to undercut you, and he's going to use Derek Kennedy to undercut you, but this performance review should be thrown out. Thanks to the cross-examination of Ms. Chiaffi a few weeks ago, we find out they track IP addresses. With IP addresses, you know who everybody who submitted a survey. They were supposed to be confidential. They have violated the trust of the town. It's simple as that. Everybody was violated. I don't know how Mr. Aiello sits there. He was the most violated, but Mr. Marone and Mr. Carson were violated. Nobody should have known who submitted them and who didn't submit them. And the last thing I'll say about this is I understand that Putman's put together a compilation of all the comments from the performance reviews. I would bet $100 that he's left out comments. Anything that's critical of Derek Kennedy. And I think before, if you are going to accept these performance reviews, you take the performance reviews themselves, the hard copies, and you compare them to Putman's compilation that you've been given and make sure that they jibe. And if they don't, people need to get fired. Putman should have been fired already for what he's done. The fact that he's not there shows what they're up to. This was not Putman. This was Derek Kennedy. He has continually violated the public trust. And it's only now that it's coming to light. This would have all been covered up, but for the fact that Ed Marone is now the president, and we got Karen Chiaffi, John Carson, and William Aiello standing up for them. Thank God. They have done nothing in this town council but cover up the malfeasance and the misfeasance of Derek Kennedy and his administration. It is terrible. The last thing I want to say is, because if anybody wants to know, as you know, that the ACLU's threatened to sue, I've been in talks with the ACLU to sue the town of Westerly over Mario Selico. You got the letter. I sent the ACLU the response from Mr. Selico that somebody would have to sue him. They were preparing to sue him. I got an email from the ACLU on Friday. In light of the reorganization of the Westerly Town Council and the dethroning, that's their word, of Mr. Selico, we plan on closing your complaint at that point, which is fine for me, because I'm not looking for damages. But there's the problem. If we'd kept Mr. Selico, you'd have another lawsuit, and you would lose it. If you run into any further problems, though, feel free to let me know. So there's 100 reasons to get rid of Mario Selico. That's one of them. But I encourage the 4 counselors to really think hard and strong about keeping Derek Kennedy there. He is going to undermine you at every step of the way. And I think this thing with Sean Lacey shows you how far he's willing to go to break the law, and Mario Selico to break the law to settle scores. Thank you.